Massacre on the beat!
What's good, everyone? It's yours truly, Elwin Coleman, and you're tuned into episode 0 of the Winlife podcast. So today we're going to talk about what winning at life means to me. Now, every episode where we interview a guest, you'll notice there are certain questions we ask them. And that last question is always, what does winning at life mean to them? So I want to answer what it means to me. We all have our own definition of success, of what it means to be happy, of what it means to accomplish our goals. So finding what winning at life means to me has been an introspective journey. I've had to look within. Once you find your purpose and cause, that compass for life, for finding your path, for finding your direction, gets even more clear. So we really need to find out, what's our purpose? Why do we do it for? The why is more important than almost anything I can think of. So let's kind of get into who I am. A lot of you may know me from the past, from music, from Forex, from different worlds, but there are many people that are just meeting me, just hearing my voice for the first time. So who is Elwin? Who is Elwin Clarence Coleman? Elwin, child of Linda and Elwin Sr., born in Chicago, 1986, December 16. Grew up in the Chi, raised in the Chi, and that culture sticks with me to this day. I can't escape it. You know how they say, you could take the person out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the person. Yeah, that's me. No matter how much I read, no matter how many degrees or how many different endeavors I jump into, I can never forget where I came from, who I am. And I come from the hood, Chicago. I was born up north on the north side, Weiss Memorial. But then I spent many years of my life out south side, 5848 South King Drive. So if you're kind of hip to the current hip hop scene and you know where O Block is, you know, Lil Durk and them, I was right around that area. And where I grew up, it separated the GDs, the gangster disciples, from the black disciples. And it was essentially a war zone where I grew up at. I tell this story about my childhood to really embody it. So when I was a kid, me and my stepbrother, we would go in our dirt lot in the backyard, no grass, right? And for a game, we collected bullet shells. I remember I had a box full of bullet shells, and it was just what we did. It was kids being kids in the concrete jungle we were living in. And I remember I took those bullet shells to my mom to show her, look, Mom, look what I did. I collected these. And just the look on her face, the expression. I mean, I was 3, but I still remember how she felt just by how she looked at me. And it was a feeling of, I got to get you out of here, right? And I thank my mom, God rest her soul. I did lose her at the age of 13. And her death really has defined me. And I let it define me too much for years. And now I've worked at loving my mom, never forgetting her, knowing she's always here, but moving on, moving into my light, moving into my happiness, and not letting my past dictate my future. So that's why we lead with love. But shout out to Mom. She did get me out of the hood eventually. Once I went to a bunch of different Catholic schools coming up. And then once I got to, 4th grade, we moved to the suburbs, Park Forest, Illinois. And I only lived there for second, third, and then for 2 years, basically. I only lived there for 2 years, and greatest 2 years of my life. Nothing like living in the suburbs as a kid. We just every day playing outside. Didn't have to worry about locking your door. Sleepovers all the time. Always an adventure. I was on the baseball team. I was going to like water parks. Just had so much fun. I got to go trick or treating like a regular kid and go house to house. Now, this is stuff some of you may see as just normal, but when you in the hood, you don't go door to door. You don't go trick or treating. So that shift, right? That whole new world I was introduced to living in the suburbs, it really gave me a taste for more, and it let me know that there was so much more out there. Now, unfortunately, we lost our house, financial turmoil. So that house lasted 2 years. We ended up back in the hood, back at 5848 South King Drive. But this time, instead of being on the first floor, we were in the basement. Bars on our windows, even worse, right? But I had that taste. And from there, it was just rough. Mom, stepfather, dealing with drug addiction. And, sadly, I lost my mom to that battle. And from there, had to move back up north with my dad's mom/dad. And from there, at that point, I was entering 8th grade. And I had to just finish strong, because after my mom died when I was 13, it was really like childhood was gone. I didn't have a home anymore because my home was with her. I was uprooted 100%. So I look at that as a pivotal point in my life, because it was from there, all the games was over, all the happiness gone. I essentially became super, super unhappy, super, super depressed, and just struggled to continue on. But I did. I graduated high school. I got out, right? And I graduated with like a 3.8, 3.9. It was weighted. I was in the International Baccalaureate program. So I really did just get to lose myself in school a bit. Funny thing is, I always knew that I would turn it on at high school and get myself into gear. Even when I was in 2nd, 3rd grade, I always told myself, this doesn't matter. Like, I'll just wait till I'm in high school to actually apply myself. I know it sounds crazy, but even in 1st grade, I knew 1st grade didn't matter. I knew those grades didn't matter. And I knew when you got to high school, those grades mattered and that you need to get into college. Don't ask me how I knew, but I definitely coasted through elementary school, through middle school, and turned it on at high school. And I knew in my heart I was finessing the system, right? But I graduated strong, got my degree. But while I was in school, I was still going through it, right? Like, the school I went to was on the north side, Nicholas Senn High School. Shout out to all my boys, my people that graduated, my people that didn't, all of our fallen soldiers that passed. Shout out. So at Nicholas Senn, it was a pretty it was a pretty bad school. I mean, we had fights every day. I'll put it like this: our average ACT score was like a 15, right? So people are not going to college out of that school. Luckily, I did get a degree at UW-Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I got that through the Posse Scholarship. God bless that. Also, while in high school, I started exploring other areas. I definitely got my entrepreneurial spirit then. I feel I had it before then because I always thought about money. I always wanted to be rich. As a kid, I loved that song that went, I want money, lots and lots of money. That was my song because I'm going to be rich. And to this day, that still resonates with me. But at that time, I was just going through it. So I didn't know what I would become, right? But once I got to school, in high school, things started to take their form. And one of my earliest hustles where I would make good, consistent money, I'm talking a few $100 a week as a, 13-year-old, 14, 15-year-old, was selling bootleg CDs, okay? So, I've been a hip hop artist for a long time now. And around 13 is where I started writing heavy, heavy. So not only did I get my entrepreneurial kickoff, but I got my artistry popping, right? And before then, like even in 8th grade, I had a label I made up and I had artists and I was just, already like primed for this. But once we got into my freshman year, that's when I started writing lyrics heavy. I would go to my Aunt Tara's store and I would just write lyrics every day, filling up notebooks. And it was trash. It was trash. She would tell me, "El, you're trash. Keep going." So it took time. It really did take time to develop as an artist, develop as a writer. But to this day, my pen game is glorious and I just never gave up. I just stuck with it. So those were formative years for my creativity. I started dropping mixtapes in high school. If y'all know what those are, those were still a thing. And I'd have my own projects. I had From Me for Free, Plead the Fifth 1, Plead the Fifth 2. I dropped different projects. And then I also would sell bootleg CDs. I remember when Jay came out, Black Album, I made a few $100s like in a day and a half. Just everyone in high school needing those CDs. And I had high-speed internet at home with the cable modem, with the HP desktop, with the burner, and, buy you a bunch of blank discs and then just bang out. And that was my hustle. And from there, that money I made from hustling CDs, I would actually put it into my own CDs. So I either buy more work, buy CDs to print up more, but I even put out my project, my very first project, which was Secret Society Volume 1. And I put in my $400, went downtown, got it pressed up at the place. You had to go to a CD printing place and get it all done, got some flyers done, and then I just went downtown, tasted Chicago. I think I sold 2 CDs. $10 a piece, maybe even one. And that was a reality check. I thought, I'm gonna go out here, print the CD up and be rich. But obviously I had to work for it. I had to network. And that's where I started learning about getting out there, getting your word out there, about marketing, about promotion, because now I had something I wanted to share with the world. So now we're starting to get to how I became me, where I'm at now. So hip hop has always been with me. I've always been a performing artist as long as I can remember at this point. I remember performing at our Thanksgiving dinners. We would sing different songs, right? We would do covers of Keith Sweat and, Genuine, just different things, right? Even in preschool, my first words, no cap, were cat, dog, and OPP. So that should tell you right there what time it was. So after high school, I did go to college at UW-Madison in Wisconsin, and I got my degree in philosophy, right? I was planning on going for business or communications art, but it just didn't work out with the requirements, with the GPA. I was definitely a mediocre college student when it came to grades until I got to my upper level coursework where we were solely focused on higher level philosophy. And I was just, in my bag, nailing it, killing it at that point. But starting off, taking all the different classes, getting accustomed to different teaching styles, just getting accustomed to the world, more importantly, the white world. I was never around this environment. I was never really around white people. I was never around an institution like this at all. So I had to get down. I had to get with the program. I had to get in where I fit in. Thankfully, I was in the Posse program. I had the Posse scholarship, and that program is actually amazing. I recommend it to anyone. I wouldn't have made it where I am without them. But that program, it put me around others from my city who were coming from the same place. And we were grouped together in a posse, and it did help me. It did give me some grounding in this new land. And we had different retreats, we had different meetings, different workshops, all those things, which I will admit I was not invested in wholeheartedly. I was very standoffish and just in a very dark state. And I didn't make the most of it, but I will say it definitely gave me grounding in my college experience, and I was able to make it through. So I don't know how things would have played out without Posse, but I will say I wouldn't have been there without them. So much love. Once I was in college, I began to look into other business ventures. And this is kind of where I would try to take a million shortcuts and everything would basically backfire. And I could go down the list. I had one business where I was selling Izod polo shirts, and the first batch went good. I paid like 500 and I got like 25 shirts, and I was able to double up or something along those lines. And I remember the next package I ordered, it never came, and I think I goofed on it, or I at least didn't make sure I disputed, something to that effect. But basically I lost the whole pack, and then I never followed through with that again. Had another business where I was ordering Apple and MacBook accessories from China, and I'd sell them on Amazon. And this was very lucrative. This was actually, way before the craze, before everyone's doing it, before everyone's selling a course on how to sell online, how to sell on Amazon, etc., how to sell on eBay. So what was this, 2000 and maybe 8? So we're talking 12, 14 years ago. And the markups were great. Like, I would get these cases from China for like $4, and I sell them for 20, 25, 15, and just making great money from that. I remember just making like 500 a month, just shipping a few things. And obviously I blew that opportunity because what I did was I tried to start drop shipping, right? And this is before drop shipping was a thing. So I was already on it. So what I would do is, instead of ordering inventory, ordering in bulk and then shipping out to each person, what I would do is, when they place that order, I go to my Chinese distributor. Basically, I think I found them on eBay, right? That was the come up. Find it cheap on eBay, import it, sell it on Amazon. What I would do is drop ship it, put their info, and have the Chinese distributor send it to them directly. Making my job easier, or so I thought. Long story short, what happened was I started getting negative feedback. It was taking those orders weeks to arrive to get through customs. So you know what happened? That negative feedback, man, sis, got my Amazon account suspended. And you know what? Till this day, my Amazon account, my seller account is suspended. I can't get it unsuspended. I got to live with that. I got to live with the mistakes that I made in college 10 years ago, and I can't get away from it. I would love to sell on Amazon, but I just can't. So we really do have to be aware, of these things we do. Every action has a reaction. There are consequences for everything we do. So those were a couple of the businesses that I had. I did try a couple other things. I think we tried to start a radio station. I looked into stuff like MLM, like Amway. I was that close to signing up for Amway, but luckily I dodged that bullet. But lastly, I made a website, and I was using Google AdSense. This is just the one last example of how shortcuts screwed me over. And I made the website, and with AdSense, you get money every time people click it. So obviously, what did Elwin do? My grandma told me not to do it. I went and started clicking that page all day. Click, 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 click. Making money. So I thought. What y'all think happened? Boom. AdSense account disabled. Right? I didn't even use a VPN or anything. I just clicking it from the same IP. So another lesson learned there. Well, really, it's the same damn lesson I wasn't learning, but now I know. No shortcuts in this business. So after college was the real reality check, because here I am with this degree in philosophy, an awesome major, but it's not practical. I went and got a liberal arts degree that I can't do anything with other than go to grad school or, teach it or write a book, things of that nature, not some trade that I could actually do. So what did I do from there? I had to get regular jobs. Now, at this point, I was working with Madison City Channel as an assistant director. So I was filming television. We're filming different meetings. We had different talk shows, had a show with the mayor, different things. It was a pretty great experience, but it was a part-time position, and it was a lot of work. We had to, lug a lot of equipment, set up a lot of sets. I think that till this day, that was probably the best job I had, the most I learned, the most I've got to network, meet government officials, meet alders. I became really close with basically the whole government in Madison, because during those meetings, I would have to basically be around these people for hours and hours. Sometimes these meetings can go 8 hours and we're all tired together. And then year after year, you form a rapport with the people you're around. So I always say I really learned about city government just doing that job, covering the different meetings, alcohol license review. There were just so many different meetings, zoning and planning, transportation, anything that had to do with how the city ran, water, public works. I would cover the meetings. So of course I was getting that free degree in politics, basically, and poli-sci, and it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. It did become a lot when we dealt with things like collective bargaining and just governmental changes. So for me, I didn't like all that noise, and I didn't like the politics of it. And I mean, that's just the business. So from there, I did work for a couple regular jobs, office of the commissioner of insurance. I worked in tech support, and really just not using my degree, just get into the bag and figuring out what I wanted to do. And that dream of I'm gonna be a rapper started getting, more distant and more distant. And it's not that I didn't have the talent. It's not that I wasn't capable of it. It was just that I was not as extroverted as I needed to be, and I was not as all in as I needed to be to make the rap career happen as it should have, meaning all out, double down, go for broke, sleep on the couch. No, I was still paying my bills, taking care of home, putting my work first, and I guess just being a responsible adult. And I was with my partner, Ashley, at this point. So, I had an apartment. We had a dog, Ozzy, just like a regular life. So I started to almost fall into that give up on your dream phase in my actions, but in my heart, it wasn't that at all. But I stayed writing, and I think I put out one project in '09, the transition, but I was chilling, right? So after that, I just got so over Wisconsin, right? Wisconsin is super racist and just super trash to me. It was a great place for like eating, and I met cool people there, but it's always cold, it's freezing. And I just didn't fit in. I was racially profiled a lot, man. And like, I'm out in California now. I haven't been profiled. I ain't been stopped once. So it's just nice to not worry about things like that. Some of you may not even be able to, relate to that, or maybe you never had that experience. But, just to be treated like a human, just to be normal is amazing. So we ended up relocating to California in 2013. And I would say this is when life really kicked off for me. I really found my groove. I found where I belonged. And this whole time I was gearing up with a new project. getting it ready. And that project is called Skylines. It's available now, but I was writing that project. And it was basically done before I got to California. And I remember, I think I had 2 more songs to complete. And the last song I wrote, put out, was Shorts in December. And it was a special song because it was my every day is summer, I made it moment. And just so blessed to be in California. It was almost a, utopia here for me. And so we finished the project. Keep in mind, this whole time before I moved, I was using the internet to network with artists in California. I don't want to miss that step because this is what winning at life means to me, right? Winning at life for me is setting myself up for a goal and accomplishing it. But more importantly, it's about bringing my inner world to the outside world. It's about expressing myself because deep down at my core, I just want to be understood. I want to be heard. And I know no one can ever 100% understand me and see things through my lens. But my goal as a human is to do as best I can to articulate who I am, who Elwin is, the soul, the spirit, the being, the entity. And I want to help others. I want to connect with others. And I want to encourage and give others the tools to do the same, because when we bring our inner world to the outer world and we highlight that, that's where all the beauty happens, right? Our souls are beautiful and we have so much light to share with the world. It's not just me, it's not just you. But I think that the hang up happens when you don't know how to express yourself, when you're confused by all the different inputs and stimuli we get from our reality. So we really need to dig deep and we really need to look inside. So that's always been what winning at life's meant to me. So when I got to Cali, like I said, I was already networked because I was on sites like Reverb Nation, a few, Facebook, things like that. And I was just messaging people, attempting to get booked for shows, attempting to collab. So by the time I got out here, I already had a few leads. And I went to one guy, Spec One, and I remember, I think he mixed my project for me. Maybe he mixed it. I think I actually mastered the project. I let him hear it, and then he shot the video for my song Rolls Royce. Shot at the garden, a botanic garden. So that was a dope experience. From there, I started collaborating with other local artists, doing other local shows and events, and I really immersed myself in the scene. From there, I actually teamed up with a few other aspiring artists and producers out here in California. We're in Riverside, actually, in the Inland Empire. So about an hour or so outside of LA. It's dope out here. Gets a bad rep, but I love the Inland Empire. I love Riverside. And yeah, I met a lot of dope artists. We came together, we formed a label called Moving Entertainment. This was, I believe, 2016. And we had our LLC situated, and we began to release projects, full projects, singles, full releases, full marketing campaigns and visuals, as well as we began throwing events. So this is where I started to rent out venues, organize venues, start to book acts, put on shows, organize shows, and this was a whole new skill set. And it's something I was really good at. I think I am really good at it just because of my empathy. It allows me to see things from different views, right? I could see from the talent, from our artist standpoint. What do they need? What's going to make them comfortable? How can I make sure they're good? Because I'm always juggling others' egos. Then I could think about the crowd, the audience. Are they having a good time? I can think about my business partners. I can think about the owners of the venue, right? I can step outside of myself and look at all angles. And I think that is what makes me a great event planner. However, I will say it can be extremely stressful because you're going to be putting up money. It's always going to be an investment. And you're going to be dealing with other people's personalities, other people's egos, things like that. So it's a little different from something I do today, like trading, where I don't even need to worry about anyone else. I can just focus on me. And that's why I like trading, because trading is something I can do in isolation without others. And I love to collaborate, but I do feel at times I can't count on others. And I mean, maybe you can tell me otherwise. Maybe it's not true, but I feel like at times I can't count on others. So I need a way to feed myself where I can always count on myself. So that's what led me to trading. Our label did dissolve shortly after. I think we had like a 1.5 year run, but we kind of all just went our separate ways. No hard feelings or nothing like that. I still work really close with one of the owners, Master Green, and we're going to get him on a show one day. But he's a great producer. He's actually the one who got me into the movement arrangement because we were working closely. But he's an amazing Grammy-nominated producer. And, we're still close friends to this day, and we still work together. He basically engineers all my music to this date. And once the label dissolved, once we weren't doing events, it was more so like for me to focus back on me. So it was me time. So I started focusing on Elwin, the artist, Elwin, the brand. And because when I was on Moving, I would do a lot of the marketing and promotion for the other artists. And I definitely learned, but everything I learned, I started applying it to myself, from the Facebook and Instagram ads, from your different marketing materials, from having, album release events, things of that nature. I learned from all that. So I just poured it back into myself. I had dropped the 86 album through Moving. So that was just kind of going back. That was my album I put out through Moving, and it was an amazing album. This was the first album where I got to work with other artists, not just in front of my computer by myself. I got to work with different producers. I had songs where I would have 3 to 5 vocalists on it, instrumentation, and it was made from scratch. Thank you, Master Green. Thank you, Cali G. And that album really, it's an art piece. So if y'all can look it up, y'all can check it out to this day. And I had, great visuals for it. We had the mantra video. We had the 2 shots to the dome video. And after that, after the label, I did start to make other music, right? I dropped a mixtape called The Shy Project. And it was just me rapping over beats, going crazy. And this was just me, saying, what, I got to get back out here. Got to compete. So I went crazy on that for a bit. And then from there, I started to work on my series of projects, which we're finishing up now. So the projects are called Saint. So we have Saint 1, Saint 2, and Saint 3, which is set to drop next month in October, towards the end of the month. And this was where I started to just craft new solo projects and just to continue my artistic expression and just continue to grow. Started working with new artists, but really just back in my bag, back on my own thing. I also, around the same time, formed my clothing brand, Winlife Clothing. And it just started because my boy my boy Jared was like, yo, L, I need a t-shirt. What's up? And then I said, let me design one. From there, we got the whole winlifeclothing.com. I think we got over 100 products and SKUs at this point, and we're just pushing. So as you see, the Winlife brand started to take form, started to take shape. The label is Winlife. The clothing brand is Winlife. The trading is Winlife. The podcast that we're listening to, the Winlife podcast, because it's me. But it's also my message to the world. I want us all to win at life. I want us all to find our happiness. I want us all to operate out of love in the things that we do, to not harm others. Of course, don't harm yourself, but also don't harm others. So how did I get into trading from all of this? Quite simply, people, the bag ran out. Moving that label, I put thousands and thousands into it. And those events, those dope events, I was barely breaking even on them. So granted, they were dope. I will take blame that I wasn't monetizing it correctly or doing it right to make money. But also I was new. So if I would have stuck with it, we'd probably be talking a different ballgame right now. But how it played out was I took financial L's on it. I grew, I networked, I met celebrities, all of that good stuff. But now it was like, what's next? And what was next was, let's open for big artists. Let's go big. Let's get big name features, right? We're not in the little leagues anymore. But you know what those features, all of that required? Capital, money. Some of these open-end shows I want to open for, you got to pay $1,000 up front. You got to sell tickets. It ain't what you think, y'all. If y'all don't know this business, this music business, any business, right? It's all about money. It's all about the marketing, the promotion, the entertainment business is about money. Any business. So I had to really dig deep and figure out what I was going to do with my life, right? I'm 29, 30 at this point, and I'm trying to be a rapper, okay? And I'm a college graduate grinding to be a rapper with my capital gone, thinking what's my next move. So from here, it was like, do I want to be broke and be hustling every penny just to, working my job, just to try to do the next show and just struggle? I got tired of struggling, y'all. I got tired of it. So this is where I started looking for trading. And I think the first thing I did was I bought penny stocks a long time ago, and then that didn't do anything. Then I bought cannabis stocks. That didn't do anything. You see a trend here? Then I bought random cryptos, $500 tax return. That didn't do anything. And maybe that would have if I didn't pull them out. But just bad investments and not knowing what I was doing. And you see the theme again that came up, trying to get rich quick. Penny stocks, cannabis stocks. These are these, oh, you're going to get rich quick. You don't see me talking about S&P 500. You don't see me talking about Apple. You don't see me talking about index funds, mutual funds at this point. I didn't know any better. I was trying to get rich. I remember I would say I'll have $1 million by 21. That was my saying. So I didn't really become a trader until after 30. And once I heard about Forex through one of the brothers, Deuce Ellis. Y'all might know him, but he was posting his trades and stuff on Facebook, and he linked me with a mentor, Moose Gang. Moose Gang, what an interesting guy. I think he's kind of gone, but I remember years ago I learned from him. And I don't know, he never told me about using the stop loss, and he would just draw hella trend lines. So I don't know what the trading system was or not, but I think he used a lot of Elliott Wave, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But I got introduced to the business. I learned the lingo, and it kind of sent me on my way. I remember it was my 30th birthday, and I took that money and I signed up because I decided that day I was going to make a change. So I put in 100 and joined the program, started watching the videos. And, that kind of came to an end. I didn't really learn how to trade, but I started to, I got pointed in a direction. And that direction was YouTube. I went to YouTube, started searching up trading videos like a lot of us do. And that's where I found Forexia, Forex Investors Alliance. And that's where I actually started to learn to trade. I started to learn about the market, how the market's manipulated, the actual structure of the market, Hegelian dialectic, And I started to become a psychological trader. And that's something that a lot of you might not even know what it means. But the way I learned to trade at Forexia, it was more so not just looking at the chart and buying because of a line. Every trade idea was cruxed on, why is this happening? And then it was also on the view of the market is simply humans and human behavior. So every move in the market became almost a counter to what the masses were doing. So every time I would look for, let's see, oh, is everyone selling? Then I want to buy. So from there, my journey became to find all the signs that people are selling, all the signs that people are buying, and do the opposite accordingly. That's why I learned with Dylan, Brandon, Evan. That's where me and Human met. And that's where the journey began. That's where it started. So till this day, that's where I'm at. I stuck with it, y'all. And now I teach others to trade. I'm a seasoned trader. I love it. I'm a seasoned investor now. Well, I would say seasoned. Today is day 1,223. And I invest in different vehicles. I have a Fidelity portfolio. I have a TD Ameritrade portfolio. I have an extensive crypto portfolio. I have my Forex accounts that I trade every week when my setups present themselves. And I'm just doing much better. Financially, I'm stable. Now, music did get put on the back burner. However, I stayed making it. I stayed releasing it. I keep releasing music online. And this might be partially due to the pandemic, I eased up on the performances and just getting outside and networking. And that's my goal for 2021. We have some time left for next year, is to get back on the scene, as we would say, tap back in with people and get out in the streets, right? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, guys. And today, like, I started this podcast a month ago. I've been having this idea, but basically every week I do lessons, and I do technicals. I do give, I guess you would say, trade analysis, not signals, but I do give analysis, but I do a lot of mindset work. So Mondays was my day, ready for the week. Every Monday I'm here with a new mindset lesson. Always in the realm of trading, but it can extend past trading. But I felt those ideas could be so much more, that they could help so many more people. And I felt that this podcast would be a perfect platform to expand these concepts, out into full topics where we could discuss them, where we could break them down. But I wanted us to also have a practical application of things, because during these times, right, there's so much scamming going on. And one of the biggest scams are mindset scams, where these mentors, these coaches don't actually teach you any practical application. They just tell you a bunch of quotes you could, read on a Google search, or they just give you this basic info that you could find on any quick search or any basic self-help book at Barnes and Noble. So with this podcast, we're going to be giving practical application, right? You'll see I'll ask the guests, how do they invest? What do they invest in? What's their strategy? We're going to have other guests such as artists, musicians, producers. We're going to ask them, what's their creative process? How did they get to where they are? All of these things. And we know no two paths are alike. We all must take our own journey. But we can learn from others. We can grasp and grab insights from these stories, and they can help us become a better version of ourselves. So that's my mission with the podcast. That's what I want to accomplish. And that's why I picked podcast form at all. So as we come to a close, the question is, What does winning at life mean to me? To put it in one phrase, winning at life is turning your thoughts into things. Yep, and that's me. That's me. I'm a creator. I'm a healer. I'm here for us to all turn our inner world to our outer world and simply live in bliss and keep leveling up and work through whatever obstacles we face. Because what else are we going to do? We blessed with this time on earth. We blessed for this experience, for this human experience. So let's make the most out of it. Let's win. Let's win at life.